Welcome back to the second part of this arbitrage course. And we are obviously excited to get the next part of the puzzle, or next piece of the puzzle, which we're obviously going to then start looking at the markets that you've identified, so that we can look at the metrics and discover which one we're going to zone in on. Before we move into the next part of arbitrage, which is creating the identity and things like that in order to go and approach those owners in those markets. But there's no point in trying to create an identity and coming up with fancy logos and websites and company structures and all these things if we haven't even identified where we're going to go. So that's the first part, okay, or the second part of this arbitrage course is we're going to be checking your markets. Just to recap, on the previous call, we said that we would identify 3 potential markets and that you would go into those to find out what the restrictions were, so that we can zone in and not waste time on trying to find properties in a place that we can't do short-term rentals. Yeah, how far did you get with that? What was, did you have any obstacles? What were the procedures that you used? How did you do your investigation? Did you look on websites? Did you speak to people? Did you phone companies? All those kind of things. Give us the journey so that we understand how you tackled it.
Yeah, awesome. I actually just did my own Google research, and there's also like city numbers that you can call and ask them, hey, I'm getting into this business. I just want to see what's the rules and regulations. But really, like, online kind of tells you about it. And I think when I was doing research as well, some markets, Airbnb, they actually have like a part of their a part section that will tell you like some rules and regulations of some places, but really just plug it into Google for each market. So actually, the fun fact, why I was supposed to do Miami, Hollywood, and Fort Lauderdale, but Miami, when I was doing a little bit of research, it seemed like it was a little bit like over the top, so I ended up switching Miami to Kissimmee, which Kissimmee is near Orlando, and I was doing research about what's the ones that stay like consistently rented out, and actually Kissimmee was actually one on the top list in Florida right now, that's consistently being rented out year round. So yeah,
so tell us the criteria of why you chose those areas again. What were you looking for? What did you find? And how did you do your research? All those kind of things that helped you make those decisions, and go from there.
Okay. Really, so the number one on my list was actually Hollywood, Florida, just because I've been to the area a few times, so I'm kind of familiar with it. And finding arbitrage is not really going to be as easy to because of the laws in certain places. And what the issue with Florida, a lot of HOAs. So if you want to, like, for example, try to go into condos, stuff like that, it's a lot of them are not going to allow the Airbnb. So I know, like, just by the research I did, that Hollywood in general, they have a lot of like owner occupant duplexes. They have a lot more basically options where owners are a little bit more flexible. So I'm not always dealing with like HOA problems. Always like how you said on the previous one. You always want to tell the owners what you're doing and not try to do it the sneaky way and stuff, because at the end, then it's just in business, transparency is key. So HOA here in Florida is the big issue. So
and HOA, just to share that with the community or people watching that, what does that stand for, and what are the impacts of HOA?
So the HOA, it's just basically homeowners association. Some vary, like, for example, single family homes might not be as bad. They just have different rules. So some places they don't want short-term rentals at all, especially when you're dealing with Florida. The condos in general, a lot of the HOA, they're super strict. They're super on it. So it's just basically an association of the building and their approval process and their criteria and their if I'm going to be honest, they're a little bit, especially with condos, they're a little bit tough to work with. So, but in general, there's other markets that HOA shouldn't be an issue. This one in particular, I think since they always deal with short-term rentals, they just stay away from it. A lot of them. Other than that, it's just best to do your own research and call. That's one thing I best is just pick up the phone. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes they'll send you to different places and it feels like you're jumping around, but it's definitely worth it because you get that right information and you're able to make the logical decision on exactly how you want it to be done and just making it happen, you know?
Excellent. And let's talk about mindset. How is your mindset right now? How are you feeling? How was the actual experience? Did you find it? Were you eager? Were you happy? Did you check in with yourself? Did you find it overwhelming? Where are you at in your mindset right now?
If I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit like I want to say overwhelming / nerve-wracking, but I know I've done business before, so I've been through that feeling. It's like an uncomfortable, you know, I hate it, and I'm just like But I think once you get through that feeling, it gets better. Because like how you said earlier, when you're uncomfortable with or in the past module, when you're uncomfortable with something, then you know your brain kind of tells you to go back and stuff. But you know, you just have to, like, when you say I'm gonna do it, you have to vision it. You have to put in the work. And if everything was easy, everybody would do it. Like you said, I actually take these words from you. So, yeah.
And yeah, it has to be hard before it gets easy because the brain needs to create new neural pathways in order to make it a automated program where it feels comfortable, where it's predictable, because the brain doesn't like the unknown or the unpredictable. So that's why it always feels like it's hard and that you can't do it, those kind of things. It's actually because the brain is fighting against you to stop you doing it, because you're burning energy that it doesn't want you to burn, because it can't predict survival. That's the reason for it, or one of the many reasons. But we're obviously going to push through that because we have the tools and the technology to do it. And so, yeah, exciting stuff. Now, I thought about, before we start, I actually wanted to give you and everybody watching this a tool, just a little bit on how to manage stress and manage the overwhelm that you will be dealing with at the beginning, because it's something new. So we're going to usually use a breathing technique, and it's called a 4-7-8. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, you're going to hold for 7 seconds, and you're going to breathe out for 8 seconds. And you're going to do that 5 to 10 times. Every time you're feeling a little bit anxious or overwhelmed, just stop and do a 4-7-8. And what you're actually doing is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Our breath uses as a quick trigger for us to be able to activate the fight, flight, and freeze mechanism, or the relax and digest system. And they're both controlled by our autonomic nervous system, our breathing. So when you breathe in for bigger amounts, when you are stressed, you're activating your sympathetic nervous system. And when you breathe out more than you breathe in, you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That's why, for example, after a stressful situation, you'll sigh, because it switches the mechanisms, and that's how the body uses quick activation of these two things. So when you're getting stressed and you're feeling you're getting actions, just stop and do a 4-7-8. So we're going to do it quickly before we start this. You're going to account just for 5, just so you can practice it. And anytime that you feel that you need to stop anxiety or the feeling of overwhelm, you're just going to stop and start breathing. And what it actually also does is it activates a structure in the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is your cognitive reasoning, thinking part of the brain, and activates the direct experience network. And the direct experience network cannot, or the direct experience network and the default mode network, which is where our subconscious mind is, cannot operate at the same time. And so by grounding yourself into the present moment and using your breath and becoming aware of your breath, you bring yourself to the here and now, forgetting about the past or the future, because those are created through activation of our subconscious in order to conserve energy. All right, so you ready?
Yes, sir.
Right, so we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. And I'm going to count it for you. I'm going to do a demonstration first, so that you can see. So I'm going to breathe in for 4. Now, obviously, you don't have to do it with the lips and the whole motion and the noise. You can do it how you want, but I'm obviously trying to do it for demonstration purposes.
I mean, sometimes you let it out though when you go you know. So I might end up doing that, honestly. Just for the vibes.
All right. So here we go. 5 times. I'm going to count for you, and everybody who's watching this, you do it with us. I'm going to count for you. Okay. So you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. We'll count to 4, hold for 7, and blow out for a count of 8. 8. If you can't keep up with my timing, or if I'm going too fast, too slow, just do it at your own pace. I'm just merely giving you something to clock into, right? So it's at your own pace. The point is to breathe out longer than you breathe in to activate the parasympathetic nervous system in order to relax and digest. That's what you're switching the mechanisms on, and switching off your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start counting. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go. In for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how are you feeling?
Definitely, yeah. I like that. I was feeling a little bit in my chest. It was good. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's the little, Thank you.
You're welcome. So anytime you need to stop an anxiety, because the anxiety doesn't really exist. They're only a construct of the mind that trigger our survival response and make us feel overwhelmed with anxiety and things like that. That signals different organs in the body to signal the release of chemicals into the bloodstream, and that circulates around our body. Our body then remembers that feeling from a past experience, usually in our childhood for the first 0 to 7 years, and we relate the two and say, this is how I'm feeling. This must be, obviously, when you sit, it's for 0 to 7 years, you don't go, this is anxiety. Of course not. But you know what I'm saying? You're relating the two feelings, and you've had that feeling before, and it's an overwhelm, because anxiety is of the future usually, and regret, hate, anger, and stuff of the past. In the present moment, thoughts don't actually exist at all. Okay, because you're accessing the direct experience network. So we need to keep yourself always grounded. Whenever you need to go to this present moment, activate the breath and just feel the chest coming in and out. Feel the chest coming in and out. As you breathe in, the chest will rise, and as you breathe out, it will fall. And just do that, and it activates another mechanism called the direct experience network, and it will bring you into the present moment. And so while we're talking about property, this is the neuroscience property course, pretty much. So I'm going to be sharing all these tricks so that you can create a super razor sharp focus and become successful at what you're doing without all the additional stresses. Cool. Okay. So we have 3 areas. Now, from your 3 areas, so all 3 you found that currently what you know of from your research is that legislation is possible. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Right. So now we need some tools. Now, there are some tools like ADNA, a BMB something, etc. I'm not here to promote any particular tool. I'm just here to show you what's available and how to use them. Ultimately, they're just tools that you are going to use to make informed decisions, but you cannot substitute them for the decision. The decision is ultimately your responsibility, so you cannot ever say, well, this program or Bryn said or XYZ that this is going to be happening, because you still have to do your due diligence as an entrepreneur and somebody getting into this business, and it's ultimately your decision at the end of the day. We clear on that?
Yes, sir. It's like a franchise. It's basically somebody walking through you with, and that people pay so much money for franchises, always give royalties, stuff like that. So it reminds me a lot of it, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. So yeah.
Awesome. So let's go ahead. So I recently came across and I did a demo with him recently, an upcoming startup who do data analytics. It's called Arbitrage.com, and they very kindly gave me a username and login that I can use, which I found for this demo. I've also got one for AirDNA and all the other types, but I found it quite interesting. So we're going to work with that and see how that compares to AirDNA and what kind of information, if it's user-friendly, those kind of things. And we can then make our decisions from there. So I'm going to now share my screen, and we're going to work with the data that you are going to give me to be able to have a look at this, right? So you just go to airbitix.com, and this is kind of the general dashboard that they give you. You can save markets and do various pieces. Obviously, I'm not an expert in this software yet. I'm still learning about it myself. So we're going to be doing this a little bit on the fly, but let's go anyway, right? Okay, so search market. Give us the market, please. The first one.
I'll give you Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood. Oh, please help me with the spelling. Hollywood.
Yeah. I think you almost, yeah. Yep,
That
perfect.
one?
First one, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So Hollywood, Florida. Now, I think there is a way that we can, or there is a way. I know that because I saw them doing it the last time. Okay. Draw your market. So you can draw your market. Okay, that's Texas. Okay, so Hollywood, Florida. Where am I going? Hollywood, Florida.
So it's gonna be, yeah, almost there. If it's too much, we can hit Kissimmee. I seen Kissimmee, but
No,
Lauderdale is not.
go for it. I've just got to figure out how to use the program. So I'm not sure if we're searching it or if we're drawing it, because there was a way that they created sub-markets, and we want to create that. That's what I'm looking to do. And I didn't see it when I wrote in the address, but we'll check now. So am I going left, right, straight up?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm in Fort Lauderdale. You'll just go. It's like in the middle of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, but you'll go closer to Fort Lauderdale.
Here we go, like that. Hollywood.
So you see Dania Beach, you'll just, oh yeah, right there. Yeah, it's right next to Dania, Hollandale.
So how far am I going to be drawing? From Diana Beach down to where am I drawing?
Yeah, so from Dania, I would go Dania to closer to Adventura. It's, yeah.
So, okay, so let's just, oh my gosh, okay, hold on. Okay, so why don't we just draw from here and more inwards, or where am I going? To Derby and down?
Yeah, that's fine.
And if I
usually to get the better rates would be a little bit out, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll find a lot of
so I mean
properties in that area.
I mean, we can always move this, right? You must just tell me if am I moving it?
I would go a little bit outwards just to give it a perfect, like,
okay.
Because the outwards you go is the more cheaper for the arbitrage, but the closer you are to the water, you get more customers too, just off the small research that I know.
Okay, so are we going? Is that the right?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So let's see. Okay, there's 11,561 listings here. Okay, so we can call this market Hollywood.
Hollywood / South Florida, because it's probably getting like 3 cities in it, but Hollywood is perfect too.
Okay, so they've actually said that this market exists already. Okay, so maybe I'm going the wrong way with this. So let's go Hollywood. Okay, sorry, I'm just going the wrong way here. So let's just start Hollywood. I'm overcomplicating it.
You're good. I mean, that's part of the process. And I'm glad they get to watch it with us too, because it's sometimes you have to just do it and figure it out. And we have a lot of different
Okay,
tools to get it.
It's actually really picked it up. There we go. If you have a look here. So, so actually we didn't need to draw the area specifically. It's already got it. Okay. So how do we save this now? That's the question. What's this? Okay, so heat map and a cluster. Oh, yes. Okay, so they have a heat map and the cluster. What is this now? Let me just see. I don't want to. Okay, so how do I save the market though? Is there a way to save it here? Okay, so what I liked about this feature, and I'm sure we'll check it out in AirDNA now, but is they got a heat map. And what that means is that they analyze Airbnb and they say that these are the hotspots that people are booking in. And why it's quite interesting is because when I did a search on the demo with them, I found these like little spots that were being booked, like just randomly, that are things that you wouldn't think about. So obviously the main ones are the heat map shows in this area here, right? But look at this little pink one over here. It's got like 92 listings in that area there. But it's also a stronger pink than a lot of the other ones. I don't know how the screen resolution is on your side.
I see it. No, I see it. It goes. It's interesting.
So what we're looking at now is how many properties in a specific area cluster. So there's more than 106 in this area. So it's a high competition area. Then we've got the medium pink, which is 53 to 106, which is here. And then we got the 26 to 52. But that 53 to 106 is that listing count? No, we want occupancy rate. Okay, here we go. So we can actually look at the RevPAR. So you can see these are the areas that we would want to basically look at. So this is the high areas along the waterfront, obviously. The sort of pinkish, the rest are kind of pink in this area, but it's strange. You get this little bubble over there. And it looks like the rest out here are less than $38. So we wouldn't want to go there. So I wonder if we can change the, okay, smart zones, submarkets. Okay, so the submarkets on here. Okay, so that's where we're looking at the highest rates. So it's $255 in those areas and 173 to 253, 255 in the kind of pink area here. So that's actually what we're looking at here is the pink areas. Okay, so if we go back to the listing count, we can see that this area there's a lot and here there's less. So that means our competition in this area might be less. It's got 69. And we said that, okay, that's the smart area, that's the listing count. But we also wanted to see what's the highest, which means that in this area here, it technically seems to be quite an interesting spot. Because if you're going to compete on these properties here, they're going to be expensive to rent out long term. There are also a lot more listings, or they're going to be more expensive, let's put it that way, because they're on the beachfront, right? But there's this little hotspot over here, and that's quite interesting. Now, as per this, we can have a look at whether one bedrooms. Okay, full. Sorry, what does it say? Okay, so you can change the filters. One bedrooms. Filters only apply to listings you see on the map. Okay, so you only see them on the map. Okay, so there's 680 listings for 2 bedrooms. There are 1,707 one bedrooms. Okay, so these are important things for us to check because we want to know which is going to be the best configuration of property for us to sell. Okay, because you can see that we're not getting that data from this specifically. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, so
it looked like it just went off. Okay.
So let's have a look here. Right. So that's according to the map. So the average revenue here. Okay, so here we go. Here we can save the market. Okay, so we're going to save this one. Okay, listing levels, my submarkets. Okay, so it's coming soon. Oh, hold on. We want to create a submarket. No, we don't. Okay. As we go along. Right. Okay. So the average revenue is 49,000. The occupancy is 69%. The nightly rate average is about 189. 6,251 listings with a season that is mid with a trend of 8.66. So trend is this shows year-round changes in revenue. Okay. So here are the months that are recorded the last 3 years. So this is always based on historical data too. Okay, there's I've made a recommendation to them that they try and factor in some economic and global factors that they could guess potentials based on currencies and you name it, and really come up with a good algorithm that they can use to monetize their system and potentially have some they can use AI to do it, and they can potentially create some IP from it too. So if we have a look at these changes, so the strongest one being the strong line being 2024 and 2024, and so that's the data. As you can see, it's all moving up. It's getting higher and higher during these peak seasons. So September, August, October, these are going to be the things that you're going to need to worry out from technically July through to November. And there you would want to try and do a different type of rental. You will try and do a midterm because that will be your low season. Okay. Now here, let me just see, compare. Okay, so this is where we can compare different markets, sub-markets. Okay, let's just go to the dashboard. We can go back to that now. All right. So here is the revenue by bedrooms. Okay. So we're looking for the one, I mean, obviously the more bedrooms you have, the more revenue, right? But we're looking for the ones with the biggest spike, the biggest difference. If you look between studio and 1 bedroom, there's not much difference. If we look between 1 bedroom and a 2 bedroom, it's also not much of a jump between it. It's not like double, okay? If we're looking at about 3 bedroom, again, it's not a big jump compared to 2. Same as 4. I mean, it's pretty consistent. I would say, you know, they're going up in a very slanted graph. There are some ones that I already saw on this where you see like this massive spike and you're like, okay, that's the market because there's such a big spike. You can see that there's such a big jump between 1 bedroom to the next. There is no obvious jump here. Okay, so let's say the property type.
Is that a red flag? Like when you see stuff like that, is that when you like how would you know whenever you're looking at a market from this perspective, and you're like, you know, if it looks like that, do you just is that a red flag or is it just something you just
for me it's an opportunity, because if you're seeing such a big spike, meaning that the difference between, let's just call for numbers sake, let's just say the difference between a 2 bedroom is, let's say 5,000, and let's say the 1 bedroom is 2,500. So there's just a double of that. And in the market that I saw, and I can try and look for it just now, it was the 2 bedroom is, I don't remember the numbers, but I'm just giving an example, was 5,000, but the 3 bedroom was 15,000. So it was more than double. And then the 4 bedroom was 25,000. You see, so that spike from the 2 to 3 bedroom was so big that it looked like this a kind of a sweet spot. Okay, so it's not enjoying the occupancy, minimum stay, price tier, hosting portfolio. Okay, hold on, let's just have a look. Occupancy rate, okay. So they seem to, I presume it's loading dynamically. Well, not dynamically, it's trying to load it and the data specifically now. It could be my internet. I think they're loading it live as opposed to it being stored in a database to give the data. Let's see what happens here. Okay, somehow. Okay, so these are quick links to different areas. It seems that we're having a problem with this. Okay, we'll go back to that later. Show more. Okay, what is show more? Okay, this is seasonal typical listing. We need to process all the listings. Okay, cool. Process all the listings, please. Okay, fine. So let's say 20 minutes. Occupancy rate. Well, don't tell me I just completely. Okay, so we'll let that do its thing and see what happens just now. Okay, revenue by amenities. Okay, so this is quite interesting. I like this because what this is showing is how many, what from all the bookings that are booked on Airbnb, what was the most sought after item. So what they did is they take all the listings and they look at all the amenities and match them, and see, okay, there are X amount of listings and X had pools. So the highest search one had a pool. So there we go, 41% increase in revenue. So if you have a pool, it's a bonus. So you need to write these specifics down so that you're looking for these amenities. The second one, funny enough, was a gym. And that was something I saw in a previous search that I did as well. So pool, gym, amazing views was also good, and view of the beachfront. So those are the main amenities that will boost your listing to make sure you have those. So if you don't have the beach view or amazing view, just make sure you have a pool and gym. Even if you don't have the gym, well, go and buy a gym and put it in the garage and call it a gym. You know, you want to basically be choosing amenities like these. Okay, if we look at the listing, okay, property by size. Okay, so this means that the data only includes the entire place listing on Airbnb. Okay, so the properties, the biggest one by size is 1 bedrooms, so they did them have the most. Next would be 2 bedrooms. You can see how big the listings was. So 1 bedrooms have the most. Okay, 2 bedrooms, the second, 3 bedrooms and studios are pretty much along the same. So it means obviously either there's a big demand for these two, or it just happens to be the configuration of that area. So we need to then find within this information which is going to be the kind of the choice we're going to make. Property type is, here we go. So entire home, 4,000, 68% of them are entire home. Private room, 457%, and condos. Okay, so 24% of these were condos. Okay, so amenities, all right, but these are just amenities that are percentage of listing your current map view that have specific amenities or services. Okay, so these are just general amenities that they have, but not the ones that are the most popular in terms of revenue, what people are looking for. Cancellation policy is strict, mostly 61%. Number of listings in capacity. So The highest was a listing that had 4 guests. So that would be a 2-bedroom. And after that would be 6 guests. So if you have a look at that data, that means it's a 3-bedroom. So if we have a look at 3 bedrooms again here, you see that there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
So what that means is that there's a lot of 1 bedrooms, a lot of 2 bedrooms, but the highest amount or a number of listing capacity is actually 6 guests, is what a lot of people are advertising, with capacity of 6, which is interesting data, because from a 1 bedroom and a 2 bedroom, how do you get 6 people? So it's a 3 bedroom does 6 people. There's 721% there, but yet there's 24% of them here with 1,477. So that could mean sleeper couches. That people have got a 2-bedroom and they got a sleeper couch, and it advertises 6 people. Okay, so number of days listings, so available. So you can see it's a short-term rental market because these listings are available for most of the year. What that also tells us is that the legislation is lenient.
Very.
Because the property wouldn't be able to be available for that long a period with 54% of it if there was a legislation issue. Do you see what I'm saying?
So the charts will basically tell you what you need to know, and you have to.
They're giving us context based on historical data. Just remember, if something changes in the legislation now, then it's not. It's just what happens. So the average cleaning price is $150, so that you can create your calculations of what it's going to cost you in terms of cleaning. And this is the occupancy rate of when things are generally booked. It's like a heat map. You can see Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays in May are kind of long weekends. June, it's reasonably, but it's more about Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So maybe people are leaving on the Sunday. So okay, so people are coming down for like long weekends. And so that's going to be your main times to make your money is Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and going into Sunday, and they'll leave to go back home or whatever it might be. Is my guess. You know what I mean? I don't know the market exactly because I don't live there, but you have to still do that research. But I'm just showing you what it looks like from a quick overview myself. If we're looking at a monthly average length of short-term stay, average length is 5.9 days. That's nice bookings, nice long bookings. It's better than having like 1 or 2 days stay because it means you've got high turnovers. So average length 5.5 days. So if you're looking at how many times you're going to have to charge the cleaning, well, if there's 5 days in a month, let's just call it 5 just for easy calculation, right? 5 into 30 is 6. So it means potentially if at 100% occupancy, you would have 6 cleanings. So if you have the occupancy, where did we see occupancy? Occupancy is 69%. So you would take your calculator, you go, right, there are 365, or you can just go, there's 30 days in a month, let's just call it, and let's say times it by 69%. So 20 days a month is the average occupancy, which means if you take 5, because we're using that 5, right? Or we can use 5.4 divided by 5.4. It means that you're looking at 3 turnovers, which means a clean check-in, check-out, or check-in and a check-out. So it's 150 for the check-in, 150 for the check-out. So you're looking at 300 per stay, if I'm correct, because remember, it's not my market. So you're going to have to feed me your data because I'm just doing it from a total blind point of view, but using my intuition to understand the market. But that means if you're taking 150 for a check-in and 150 for a check-out, and you times that by the factor of 3, it's going to cost you 1,150 approximately for cleaning. However, there are same-day check-ins and check-outs, and when you have those same-day check-ins and check-outs, it's 1 cleaning fee. It's not 2, but rather always just over analyze and just add the fees, because we're going to build in an Excel spreadsheet at some stage during this arbitrage course. And on that, we're going to want to know how we get the numbers so we can work out the costs and etc. to figure out our finances, our profit, our loss, and those kind of things. Yeah, you all with me there?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So there is let's just switch this thing off. Okay, so there was a section that he showed me.
Question actually. So on the whenever we calculate, say for example, this one looks like it's a good market, but how would you? Is there like a certain spreadsheet you're gonna say, hey, if the turnover rate is way more than this, should you stay away from it? Or like, what's a red flag? What should somebody stay away from? Is the course also gonna like show, like, this one looks like it's a good example, but what about in a bad example as well of what maybe you should kind of stay away from, or trying to give people a little bit of direction?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put all of these kind of numbers into a spreadsheet to find out ultimately our net profit. That will tell us good or bad. The first part of this is to decide if we can even do it there, because there's no point in us spending a whole lot of time choosing properties, working out all these kind of statistics if we can't even host there, right? So we first need to find, and that's the first part, was to identify 3 markets, which we're going to go through the other 2 now. Then today's part of the course is we are looking at each market, so we can kind of just get a rough feel for what it looks like. And then the next course, we're going to then, once we know which markets we think are going to be good, we can zoom in a little bit. We're going to look at the nightly rates and things and see which ones are going to be the best. And then after that, we'll start building a spreadsheet and things like that. Yeah. So, and then we'll make educated decisions that way. All right. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Cool. So I just need to find, there was a little tab that, okay, so, all right, so this looks like it loaded all the data. There was a tab that he showed me that said, okay, so seasonality. This shows how revenue changes month to month compared to the yearly average, calculated as the revenue difference between the highest and lowest months. High seasonality, revenue changes significantly throughout the year, 75%. Mid is between 51 and 75%, and low. Okay, got you. Okay, there was a little tab that he showed me. I don't know if it was a drop-down box or... Okay, so what we can do is this at top 10%. So the top 10% are looking at about 145,000 revenue per year with a 90% occupancy, right? That's going to be where we're going to want to aim at. And you can see that the median is -2, which means currently at 2025 is less than the previous year in terms of listings. Okay, so that's good. Let's have a look here. Okay, now this is so there was a sheet that he showed me that allowed you to see. Okay, so this is how many hosts have more than 2.2 or to 5 listings. So there's some that are hosts, they might be property management companies, have 21 or plus, and there's some that are 2 to 5. Okay, price tier. Here we go. So you can see our price tier is mostly in this range here. So it's between 106 and 314. Minimum stay. Okay, so 1 to 6 nights, and the next is 7 to 29. So there's a lot of longer rentals here as well. Bathrooms. Okay. Property type. So apartment or condo seems to be one of the biggest here, as well as entire home. So we're going to look at focusing on apartment, condo, and entire home. Okay, cool. So let's have a look here. This is an occupancy rate. Okay, let's see what else it has. Revenue. So these red spots are more than 100,000. Between here, all the pink spots, there's a pink spot again, between 54 and 100,000. As well as there's a big cluster in the middle here. So this is kind of where you're going to start looking for these properties. Supply. Okay, so you can see all the supplies, mostly a lot of it sitting in this section here. Okay, amenities we saw. And then there was a special way he looked up. It showed you the policy of the area. And meaning that you could see whether it was lenient, it was strict, or those kind of things. So I just need to try and figure that out. Okay, so by domestic versus origin. So domestic is obviously people who live within the country, and international are the greens. So it's a lot of domestic travel, which makes sense for Florida. You got your, all your people wanting to go down to the beach, move from the summer birds, There's the origin cities. Now, why I found this was really nice in terms of the cities is because if you wanted to do a mini site and do targeted Google ads, you could target specific cities instead of trying to guess where you wanted to target your ads on Facebook or Instagram. You could use this to target these specific cities. And so these are the countries, which is funny, which is Canada, Brazil, Colombia, etc. And most of them spoke English. Okay, so management company, these are the top management companies in the area and what their average rates are, etc.
So these are basically other like competitors in a way that they have their own thing. It shows you everything.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look at 3 bedrooms. Let's create a sub-market. Okay, now we're going to compare. Okay. Let's add, what's one of the other markets?
Kissimmee, Kiss.
Yeah.
MI.
There we go, Kissimmee, Florida. And Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me the next one.
The other one was Fort Lauderdale. It's a little bit more broader. Should I do something like do Fort Lauderdale? Let's see how that comes out.
I'll see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Save all. Okay, here we go. So, okay, so Hollywood has got an occupancy of 69, Kissimmee 67, Fort Lauderdale's 69. Right. Okay, so they're all pretty close. The average daily is about 189. So we're looking at Hollywood and Fort Lauderdale so far. Average revenue is 49. These two are the biggest markets. Now, the interesting one is this one. There's less listings, so less competition, and same revenue, more revenue by 195. Occupancy is the same. Okay. Occupancy rate, okay. I'm just trying to see. Here we go. This is where I found it. Look here. Market strictness, lenient. So I asked him, well, how did you work that out? whether a policy was strict or not. And he told me a really interesting fact about it. He said what they do is when certain areas need to have licenses, people have to put their licenses onto their Airbnb listing. So what they work out is that the more an area has licenses, the more stricter it is. Makes sense. It's obvious, right? But I was like, that's quite clever. So the less people have put licenses on their area, but is highly active, the less strict it is, which means that these areas, all three areas that you've chosen, in theory, from what I understand, are all able to do short-term rentals still. So well done. You've done your homework well.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, so, well, it's good because it means you didn't waste your time, right? Just imagine you chose an area, got an arbitrage property in there, and then realize, oh, you can't do short-term rentals or you can only for 90 days or whatever it might be. Okay, so that would be a problem. So that's why we're doing this exercise. So here we go. We're looking at, for example, here's your cleaning fees, the averages. Again, Fort Lauderdale has the lowest cleaning fee. Are you starting to pick up a little bit of a trend?
Yeah.
And which one do you think you're picking up a trend from?
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat?
Are you picking up a trend between the three areas?
Oh yeah, for sure. That Fort Lauderdale has a lot less listings, the same money, and cheaper cleaning fee. So
it's looking like the better market, right?
Yeah, 1000%.
Okay, so hosts with 6 to 20 listings. So hosts with 6 to 20 listings means that it could be management companies or corporate areas. It means that Hollywood's got a lot more. And Kisme's got less. Hosts with 1 to 5 listings. It's Fort Lauderdale. Listings with a pool. Ooh, that's interesting. 71 in Hollywood, but we're going to just check the Fort Lauderdale, what the main amenities are there. Listing with a hot tub. Okay, so 22. Funny enough, Kiss Me had 34. So would that say that Kiss Me, because it had a hot tub, would be more popular than everything else?
No, but
you would have thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought that most people would love that hot tub, that sauna for romantic weekends away, that kind of stuff, and that having that amenity would be that much important. But in this case, it's not. So now you can check on the bedrooms. So let's go to a 1 bedroom. And let's see. Oh, don't go back. Okay, fine. It didn't. Here. Okay, so 1 bedroom, it says occupancy 68% in Hollywood. Again, Fort Lauderdale has got 69%. Listings, less competition. Revenue is slightly less, though, for a 1 bedroom in Fort Lauderdale. Let's have a look at the 2 bedroom. So 70% for Hollywood, 68 for Lauderdale. Again, there's a difference in the price rates there for a 2 bedroom. Let's look at a 3 bedroom. Oh, that now changes these things a little bit, because now there's a lot more competition in Fort Lauderdale for 3 bedrooms, but the price is higher and the occupancy is higher. Let's see, 4 bedrooms. Again, Fort Lauderdale is climbing in here. And this is my golden nugget for you. Okay? Through 25 years, I always experienced personally in the market in South Africa, Cape Town, that the sweet spot was a 4 bedroom. And this is the reason why. With a 4 bedroom, you get a family in who can bring it's mom, dad, 2 children, granny, and grandpa, maybe that's 6, and sometimes a friend. Or it's 3 kids, mom, dad, granny, and stuff like that. Or it's mom, dad, 2 couples being brother and sister with their husband and wife plus kids. Okay. And it was the most cost-effective holiday for all of them to be able to share together. Number one. The other reason why the 4-bedroom for me was always a sweet spot is because of this. You can compete if you have you got to think of your entire annual year as 365 days. Okay. And that's your stock, but it's perishable stock, meaning you lose it all the time. You can't keep it. Why? Because if you miss one and you leave your calendar open, you're not maximizing your occupancy and you lose those days. So most people are very stuck to their rates and they move it up and down and they try and compete, but they don't fill the gaps. And the gaps are the sweet spots. Now, when you are stuck on a 4-bedroom or a 1-bedroom, you can only advertise as a 1-bedroom or studio. When you are a 2-bedroom, you can only advertise as a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. When you are a 3-bedroom, you can only advertise as a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, or 1-bedroom, when I'm talking about the rates. But as a 4-bedroom, you can drop your rates to a 3-bedroom, drop your rates to a 2-bedroom. You can drop your rates even to a 1-bedroom if you needed to. You have a bigger spread. So when it comes to filling the occupancy, if you really want to mess everybody up, all you do is you offer a 4-bedroom at a 2-bedroom price, for example. And that means that you can fill the gaps. You obviously don't do that for the big ones because you're going to lose money then. But you use that configuration to fill the gaps, because somebody goes, oh my God, look, it's a 4-bedroom that we get the whole place to ourselves at the price of a 2-bedroom. Do you see how that works? So for me right now, just on my personal choice, you have to choose your own, of course. 66 occupancy is higher than any of the rest. 4-bedroom, it looks to me like a sweet spot. There are less listings because if we drop to the 3-bedrooms, for example, you can see there's tons of them. 4-bedrooms are going to be the sweet spot because they're bringing in quite a bit of revenue. And we can find the difference out by putting this into a spreadsheet. So it's 84,000 and 122. So it's 38,000 difference. Okay. So if we take 122,000 divided by 4 bedrooms is about 30 grand per bedroom. Okay. So let's do times it by 3 bedrooms. It's 91,000. So let's just see what a 3-bedroom has. You see the 3-bedroom is underpriced. It's only making 84,000 when if we work out the 4-bedroom, it's more expensive. And it comes to, if you're to take a bedroom cost, and so we took 4 bedrooms, and just if you missed that, please let me know, because obviously other viewers would miss it too. And so I want people to be able to understand that. So if we took the 122,000, okay, the 4-bedroom, 122,000, the average revenue, we divide that by the 4 bedrooms, because 4 bedrooms, it's 30,000 per bedroom. So then we want to look at, okay, let's see how the other bedrooms perform in terms of that. So if we take 30,500 per bedroom and we times it by 3 bedrooms, it should give us 91,500. It's only giving us 84,000. So then we could say, well, okay, so divided by 3, let's just get back to the 30,500. Let's see what the 2-bedroom does. You can do this in a spreadsheet. I mean, we'll put a spreadsheet together for the next call so that other viewers on this can see this. We'll drop it as a link in the bottom so that you can input the data as you see it here, and then we can go from there. So let's have a look at a 2-bedroom. So 30,000 times 500 times 2 is 61,000. 2 bedrooms here are only in Hollywood are they making more money. Okay, and then obviously we said it's 30,500. Again, 1 bedrooms here are also making a lot of money, a lot more money per bedroom than Kismi. So Kismi at this moment is not looking like a front runner to me. What do you think?
Of course, I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
On the 2, so shall we remove it from our search now?
Yes.
Okay, so This is what we're trying to do the whole time, is to refine our search. We're trying to get to the market because we don't want to try and okay. We don't want to try and guess things. We want to, okay, here we go. Yield 25%. I'll take these out. We want to get to being super focused on what we're doing, so that we don't waste time. We want to get into business within 30 days. That's the goal, right? Supply last year, second year. Okay, average rate, revenue change. Supply, cleaning, fees, market strictness. Forget the hosts. Okay, let's have a look. Let's sort it out. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so there we go. Now let's save this. And this is, what are we going to call the market comparison? Z. We'll keep it your market comparison. There we go. So let's just go now and let's go back to, and let's have a look at Fort Lauderdale, just so we can do the same information and do the same way around. Fort Lauderdale, spell it for me, please.
ORT.
Oh yeah, Fort Lauderdale. Okay, got it. I wasn't sure if they used an abbreviation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Excuse me. Okay, so as we see, it's the same trend as Hollywood, right? It was Hollywood, right?
Yes, sir.
It's the same trend. I presume that because it's got the same kind of geographical location, they're right next to each other. People are going between one or two. That's why you've actually chosen two great areas, because you're really matching apples for apples. You know, if they're on different sides of the country, there's a lot of other factors that you need to take into account. If they were totally opposite, but you've chosen two, because here's, for those who are viewers who might not be in the States or might not see it, our original market was, the first one we analyzed was Hollywood, which is just here. So Z has chosen this market and this one to check, and they're right next to each other so that we can compare two areas straight away. Okay, so let's just go to the heat map. Okay, look at that. There's our cluster again. You can see you don't need to be straight away near the beach. So there's stuff that you can look up here as well, which is quite interesting when you are looking for the properties. We're looking for the occupancy rates. Okay, so here we go, some high occupancies around this area too. The RevPAR. Okay, so there's a little sweet spot again in these two places. Okay, right, so let's go to the dashboard. Let's have a look. So the average nightly rate is 189. There's 5,000 listings. Bedrooms. This is where we want to see if there's anything specific that happens here. The revenue. So here's that 4-bedroom that we're looking at, 122,000 so far. As you can see, it's 6-bedroom. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Can you see how big that one is compared to the previous? So we've potentially got two here. We've got a 4-bedroom or a 6-bedroom. We didn't even analyze the 6-bedroom on our previous search. So we can go back there now. Let's have a look. Supply. Okay, so the supply, let's see, the occupancy rate and the supply are quite close, and so is the revenue. Amenities, again, pool. Funny enough, this one, the gym is not as important. So it's pool, beachfront, and amazing views. Gym is still in that category though. Okay, property size, not a lot of those. Entire home is obviously the biggest. Number of listings, capacity, number of days available. Again, you can see it's a lot of days available. So that means that it is lenient currently. And you can see it's quite an even spread. Sometimes on the other ones that I saw, these kind of days were not as green, which means that they're not booked. So the people are definitely staying longer periods here. Average length of stay during the different times. Okay, so 5 days, even in your lowest season, you're still getting 4.8 days as an average length of stay. That's a good market. Okay, so again, domestic is much higher here than international. New York, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, okay, it's the same. United Kingdom, more people are staying here than Brazil, because the other one had Brazil. English is the main language there. Evolve has got lots of properties, so they're managing a lot of properties there. Right, okay, so let's go to the compare market. I wanted to just check. Okay, that's another tab. Let's go to save markets. Okay, where is our save markets? So markets only, save market. Sure, we had C. Okay, so compare. And what was the first one? Hollywood.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to see what the 6 bedrooms look like. Okay, so Fort Lauderdale. Which one's your market, bud?
Fort Lauderdale for sure. That's a big difference.
Is it obvious or not?
Yeah. It's of course. That's
Okay.
that's a big number.
So for me, just personally, I would be choosing that as my go-to place. Now, with the information that we've done today, do you feel that you have a clearer understanding of how to choose a market using data? Just remember, unfortunately, this is historical data. And what that means is that with your current dollar and current policies, whatever the big guys are doing in their government thing, I'm not here to tell them how to run their country. They've got their way of doing things. They've got a reason to do it. But it impacts the economy. As long as you understand that this data cannot be 100% accurate because of the fact that it relies on historical data, and that you still have to make an informed decision based on what you find out from your current situation. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so even on the dashboard, in one of the sections, it had comparison of whether it was down or up compared to the year. I don't remember where it was though. Saved comparison. That's where you go. Saved comparisons. So okay, cool, got it. Occupancy rate. Okay, so the occupancy rate, you can see it's close, but Fort Lauderdale, median revenue, it's the same. Listings, Fort Lauderdale has less. 5 percentile, 5 percentile. Occupancy rate. So they're all this. It's for me, it's an obvious choice there. I don't know what the calculator does, but let's have a look. Okay. Let's say you're going to rent a property. Have you got any for Lauderdale? Let's say we're going to choose a 6-bedroom, calculate. Occupancy metrics. Okay, so even the occupancy is high on the 6 bedrooms. The average rate is 1,400. Seasonality is high. Income up to 407,000. Cash flow over the next 5 years can go up to 2.2 million or close to 2 million. Seasonality, the market is obviously doing that. Net operating income, so it's about 300,000. Net operating expenses about 81,000. So yeah, so there's a little bit more information on that, and you can create new reports, etc. Cool. Let's swap over. I'm just going to stop my share now. I'm going to swap over to ADNA quickly, just because I have to log in with passwords and stuff. And then let's have a look what that looks like there. Okay, ready for a share. Let's go share screen, entire screen, go. Okay, so we are going to be using ADNA now, and let's have a look at that. So we're going Fort Lauderdale. Help me with the list. F-O-R-T. Fort L Lauderdale. Like that?
Yeah, you just have to put them in space. So Fort, and then you put the L, because I don't, yeah. Okay. So it's given Fort Lauderdale Beach. So that's going to be, so it's showing different areas. So I think this one looks like it's going to be more in detail. Unless at the bottom it just says Fort Lauderdale, Florida, U.S. market.
This one.
For sale. Is that for sale? For sale with properties?
Is this it?
Yeah, I think,
so let's do, so here we go, Fort Lauderdale. Okay, market performance. Okay, investability, rental demand is 56. They say rental growth is 65. So they say the average revenue is 36,000. But let's just look at the listing. We said we wanted between between 3 and 6 bedrooms. Or let's just do 9, just for that, which means that we're sleeping between 1 and 10 plus, hide this, 10 plus. Bathrooms, I don't know, 6 bedrooms, I suppose. We want a house. We want a house, basically. Okay, apply. We said amenities we wanted. Pool. Okay. They see their annual revenue average is 100. Okay, so ABB, VBRO. 4 bedrooms, 34% of the market. 5 bedrooms, 22. They've got a different graph, but their graph looks like, sorry, their graph is, that's listings. The listings have grown slightly. The occupancy is 60%. The other one was 69%, if I remember correctly. There's this length of stay is 3.9, but hold on, we're analyzing a lot more. Let's just look. We're not doing apples for apples here. We need to do 6 bedrooms. What did we say? 6 bedrooms? Or was it 3? I can't remember.
the 6 bedrooms was the best one in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. So we're just looking at, okay, so let's just have a look. So strict is the main policy, which is great because you don't want people average night. They got 3 nights, is funny enough. The highest one, 4.6, a pool, air conditioning, okay. Largest property managers, they've got different statistics. Occupancy rate, they've got different statistics. Average length of stay is different statistics. This trend seems to be similar, but the other one had a bit more information. Okay, this is more like the other one. Okay. Average revenue. Okay, this average revenue for this was lower than the other one. If I'm correct. Okay, that looks like a
That one is 3.
yeah. Okay, I think what we can do here is just up the bedrooms to between 3 and 6. Let's just have a look at the stats now. You see, they have different data. Can you see that? And because of that, you can't say that one is right or the other one's wrong. See, this one says 3 nights is the highest one, and 4.6 is close. But again, we're comparing 3 and 6 bedrooms. They say Volve has more on the other one. This one says Stay Soul, 60%. Yeah, that's rough. I suppose the average between those could be possible.
So what's a healthy number that you want to see occupancy rate above? Do you want to see it like just above 50, or do you have like a certain sheet that you recommend? Or
no, you want more like between 70. You want to look between 60 and 90,000 that they're estimating. Okay, and the reason why is that they've got a different cluster map too of this. So the other one could be wrong, or this one could be wrong, or they both have to be used as 2 separate tools. So you want to look at the average occupancy to be more than 60%, right? To start with, that means 20 days of 30. Okay, and that means for the other 10 days that you're going to use to undercut based on your pricing to get your occupancy higher. Is there anything else you want to see on this? For me, I found the other one had a lot more information personally. I could be wrong. You know, each person's got to choose their own tools. The other one also has listings. If you wanted to buy a property, I suppose this one has within that. Maybe this one's good for buying properties. You can see the yields and stuff like that. 30% yield. Look at the rest. It's 199,000. Percentage is yield. It's only been on the market for 1 day. The other one's only got a yield of 9.3%.
what does that mean? What does the yield mean?
It means how much money that it can make. Look, this one is at 60,000. This one's only at 35,000. Compared to what you pay, look, you pay 725,000 for that. Your yearly revenue is only 60. So therefore, your yield is only going to be about 8.3%, which means that 60,000 of the purchase price. So the highest, this is a low purchase price, but has the highest yield according to this. So this would be a great investment to buy, in other words. That would be the theory. So this would be a good opportunity. That's what you're looking for and from this is the opportunity. If you wanted to buy, of course, because you're looking at, if I put this much money down, how much can I make from it? And that would be the yield. And you're looking for the one with the highest yields. Here's another good opportunity, 24%, 52,000, you know, because the other ones have only got 12 and 3.9. Yeah. So, okay, cool. That's pretty much us for today. Just having a look at that. Next, we are going to start building a spreadsheet where we're going to start calculating the numbers, but and checking whether the numbers are correct. So Z, that is your homework for today, and community, that's your homework for the day. We're going to build a spreadsheet. It will be in the link below in the community, so you can just use the spreadsheet Z and I are going to use as a template. And then you are going to go out and calculate the numbers to find out if they are correct, so that we can double check what we're getting from the data tools. And then we can start creating a brief, if we can call it that. When we say a brief, we know what we're looking for specifically, because we don't want to like, I think I want a 1-bedroom, or maybe a 2-bedroom will work. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We can choose any one. What do you think? Like, we can have a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom, maybe 3-bedroom. You don't want to be guessing. You know exactly what. I want a pool. I want this. I want this. I want this. And then you're going to find the properties yourself by going onto websites like Zillow, but you can also find companies called or individuals who are what they call property finders, arbitrage finders, and they will find the properties for you. So that there are different ways to do it. 1, you can do it. 2, you can get other people to do it for you, depending on your budget, of course, and your need to speed up things. Yeah. Do you have any questions today, Z?
No, honestly, I think you went through everything. It's just comparing, and just making it happen, and like you said, not guessing, because a lot of people do go into business guessing. We don't want to do that. So yeah, I definitely don't want to guess.
And while it's a lot of overwhelm, the data we've looked at, that's why I'm calling this session closed now. We're going to step away from it, recharge, and then we're going to go back to it. And when we are recharged, instead of trying to push through to try and calculate things, we're going to come back to that spreadsheet next, and we're going to start building out a spreadsheet together on the next call. And then we'll give that, as I said, to the community so that they can use that same sheet. And then after that, it's the next processes as we unfold. Sound good?
Okay. Appreciate it.
Awesome, bud. Great. Well, at least we know which area we're going to. We know the legislation. We know we've highlighted 2 potential property types, being a 3-bedroom and a 6-bedroom. And now we need to build out some statistics from that, and then ultimately choose, check that data to make sure that it's correct, because otherwise we're just relying on somebody else's data. Yeah. Cool. Awesome, everybody. See you on the next call, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, mate. Bye.